Hey everyone, Emily here and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the perfect breakfast potatoes. Now this sounds like a super simple recipe, and it is, but the trick is getting them to come out really soft on the inside and perfectly golden brown and crispy on the outside. And if you've ever tried to make these at home, you know that can be a hard balance to find. Well, there's a really easy trick to get these to come out perfect every single time you make them. I'll show you how to put this together. It's only a few ingredients. Let's get started. Of course, this all starts with potatoes, and one large russet potato is going to get you about 2 generous servings out of this. So wash and dry the potato thoroughly. We're going to leave the skin on and then give this a dice. The trick to this is cutting everything in pretty even pieces. This is going to allow it all to cook at the same rate when we throw it on the stove. So as you're cubing this, make sure they're all about the same size. I like to cut my potatoes in half lengthwise and then cut that into slices and then cut each slice down the center like this, as if you're making French fries. Then when you have all of your French fry shaped pieces, just give that a chop and you have really nice even squares of potato, and it was very simple to do. We'll repeat that on the other side. This side is a little bit thicker, so I'm just going to make a few extra cuts. You can make whatever additions you'd like to this. Onions, bell peppers, those would go fantastic in here. Today, I'm going to keep things very simple with my seasonings and additions and just stick with potatoes. Now that we have this all diced, we're ready to take it over to the stove. I've had a pan heating on the stove over medium-low heat. That's the trick to these. You don't want to turn the heat up too high. It might seem counterintuitive because you want to brown the potatoes, but the lower heat is going to allow everything to cook through before the outside cooks too much. That's the trick here. So into my hot pan, I'm going to coat it generously with olive oil. I'll let that olive oil heat up and then we'll toss in our potatoes. Make sure the pan is well coated and then pop your potatoes in. I'll give these a toss to make sure everything's coated. And then I'll season it with salt and pepper. We'll season this again, so go light on the salt, and you can always add more later. I'll give that another toss to coat everything in the seasonings. Make sure these are in an even layer on the pan. If you're making more than one potato, I'd recommend cooking this in batches. You want everything to have contact with the pan. That'll be the trick to getting this nice and crispy. Then if you have a pan with a lid, go ahead and cover that up. This is going to let everything steam inside the pan and get a little bit softer. If you don't have a pan with a lid, it's okay. You'll just have to be really careful with the heat. Maybe go a little bit lighter on it so everything cooks thoroughly before the outside starts to brown. Then we're just going to let this be for a while. Let it sit, let it cook, and we're going to give it a few minutes before we start to turn it around. The potatoes have been going for a few minutes now, so I'm just going to remove the lid. You can see all that steam that's been trapped in there with the potatoes, helping them to cook through. And I'll give this a little toss. You'll notice that the potatoes have not browned at all. This is because we've had the lid on the pan and that's trapped in all of that steam. This has given it a head start cooking on the inside, but it hasn't allowed the outside to get brown yet. Now that the inside has started to soften up, we're going to leave these on the stove over medium-low heat, no higher than medium, so these can continue to cook through, but also start to develop a little bit of a crust. The trick here is patience. Just keep it on the low heat and don't touch it too much. We leave things kind of still in the pan, and that's going to allow it all to start to brown and get a nice crust on it. So leave it for a couple of minutes before stirring it next. These have been going for a few minutes, so I'm just going to take a fork And flip that over and see how things are progressing. Starting to brown just a little bit, so I'm going to add in just a little bit more salt and some smoked paprika. This is totally optional. You can just use salt and pepper if you choose. Throw in some garlic at this point if you want, but I love the flavor of smoked paprika in breakfast potatoes. I'll give this another toss, and you can right away see that that bottom side is starting to turn a nice golden brown. Now that the potatoes are pretty soft on the inside, I'm going to turn up the heat just a bit. I'm going to turn this up just above medium, and that'll let everything kind of crisp up just a little bit faster on the outside. A little puppy bacon should go good with breakfast potatoes. Jax, come here. Good boy. Can see that nice golden brown color that they have. They're not burning at all. So that's the trick here, patience. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong. They try and cook it a little bit too hot, a little bit too fast, and you wind up with a hard potato and a burnt outside. So this is the trick to making them come out perfect every single time. I'm gonna put these onto a plate and let's give them a try. These look fantastic. They're perfectly golden brown on the outside, a little bit crispy, and they're going to be perfectly soft on the inside as well. You can see the nice color that these have. They're nice and crispy, nice and golden brown, but nothing has been cooked too much on the outside. So this is the secret, again, to those perfect breakfast potatoes, low and slow on the heat. Let's give these a try and see how they came out. Perfect. You can add whatever you want to these. Oftentimes, if I have like a half an onion left over from cooking, I'll chop that up, throw it in the pan. If you want to add fresh garlic, make sure you add that when things are starting to brown and not too soon, or you'll end up burning the garlic. But these are a fantastic, simple breakfast potato, just the way they are, and you can get away with just using salt and pepper. These are going to be fantastic just on their own. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell icon so you can get notified every single time I post. If you try this recipe, or if you have a suggestion for me, go ahead and leave that in the comments section down below. You can find the full recipe to this, as always, in the description box, along with links to all of my social media pages and my Amazon page where you can find all of my cooking favorites. Hope to see you back here next time.